All right, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Neo Starling. I am back here with another reaction video. So I was scrolling through the world of YouTube, and this particular video about this young man, he's 23 years old and he's never had a girlfriend, kind of came across my feed, and I felt like, you know what? Let me just let's give it a good old go and just give our perspective on it. So that's what we're gonna do. I have obviously implemented some new camera angles, just trying out some new stuff. Trying to get a little more creative with the way I present these, so hopefully y'all enjoy this. All right, so let's start this spell off from the beginning, and we're gonna hear him out. We're gonna hear what he's got to say, and I'm gonna pause in between just so that we can interject our own perspective here. Okay, let's do it.
And I've gotten to a point where I don't believe in love anymore. Maybe it's possible for some people, but maybe it's not possible for me. It's not possible for people that are... I'm 23 years old.
First and foremost, he did a really good job with getting the hook. You know, he wants us into this video, so he gave us a little preview of what he's actually going to be talking about, which I think is pretty cool. So good on him for that little bit of creativity. A lot of people surprisingly wouldn't do something like that. So I kind of dig that. Let's see what else he's got.
Pretty decent looking, I guess. I used to think maybe I'm ugly or something, but after the comments I received on my previous video and how many people pointed it out, I guess I'm decent looking, I guess. Like, I'm kind of handsome. That's what people said. I don't know. I'm relatively fit, just a young dude. And I've never had a girlfriend. I've never been close with a girl. And it's a really strange feeling because I always think to myself, like, what have I done wrong? What do I do wrong? Like, I don't understand what I do wrong. It never seems to work out. Growing up as a kid, I was
You know what? Before I let him continue, so one thing I'm noticing here is that he's already feeling like he did something really wrong that's the catalyst for him not being able to attain the love of a woman. And well, first and foremost, he's 23. He's young. This is something that I think a lot of people sort of get lost in, and it's the fact that when you are at that age, you don't really have your life put together a certain way. And by put together, I don't mean like, you're rich and famous, or you're just like uber like high value alpha male. I don't mean anything of that nature. What I mean really is that he is at a very pivotal point in his life where he's just still very young. He's probably still in school. You know what I mean? He probably doesn't have much money. He seems to be in a vehicle. I don't know if it's his or not, or if it's like his parents or a friend or whatever the case may be. But when you're that young, it's not that you're doing something wrong. You just don't have the like prerequisite life experience to really be able to discern what it is that you are actually doing. You know, there are things you can improve on, obviously, but I'm going to hold my judgment on this, and we're going to just listen to what else you got to say.
really shy. I had behavioral issues as a little kid, so people thought I was weird. But then I got normal over time. Middle school, I was an average, just good kid. And that was probably me at my best socially. In middle school, I had a lot of friends, and I had a girlfriend in middle school. She came up to talk to me, and I was always too scared and nervous to like really hang out with her and make a move. So that relationship never went anywhere. So I never got my first kiss or anything.
Well, I don't know if I'd call that a girlfriend then. It could have been someone that you were just interested in, and you might maybe had like a mutual liking towards each other, but you definitely want to make a move. You've proven just by having someone that was interested in you that it is possible. It's not like you're at a point where you can't get anybody. This is something I need a lot of you to be mindful about. If you strike out once or twice, you automatically assume, oh, you know what? This is it. This is the end of my journey. I can't really get anybody. Like, why am I even bothering? There's no point, blah, blah, things of that nature. And, you might have had opportunities in the past without even really realizing it. This particular young man right here, he seems to have had an experience, but he never was willing to take it like past a certain level. And that's probably what inevitably led to the end of the relationship.
High school went by, things started getting really weird. Like, people mature, there starts being all these like social games, and you have to be able to read these social cues. And I didn't know how to do any of that, so I was single all throughout high school. After high school, I was employed at a job where you don't really talk to people. Then I went through periods of unemployment.
Okay, I gotta touch up upon the high school thing real quick. Okay, when I'm 40 years old now, right? So when I think about high school, that was another lifetime ago. You know, I am no longer a spring chicken. So I think about memories like that where, you know, they were a big deal and they are a big deal to you if that's your current experience. You know, I don't want to downplay someone's lived experience and what they experienced in high school, but as you get older, you start to realize, especially him being 23 years old, that high school is a fleeting moment in time. And again, you really shouldn't even be focused on getting a girlfriend. I know television, a lot of TV shows used to portray these like these 25 to 30 year olds that played high school students that had girlfriends and they were in these like serious hardcore relationships and whatnot. But realistically, in high school, the likelihood of you having a girlfriend, especially early high school, is very low. You know what I mean? You're still discovering who you are as a human being, and you'll notice this being a theme throughout the course of this video. So far, from what I'm hearing here, because he's talking about these things as if he should have had them figured out already. And realistically, when you're at that age, you don't have things figured out. It takes a while for you to become the person that you're going to become going forward. The guy's 23 years old. He's not even 25. So his brain isn't even like fully developed, you know? And again, that's not a shot at him. It's just an understanding that we're all always still growing as time progresses. We don't remain the same people. We're constantly changing. Even if you're past 25, let's say you're 30, 35, 40, you're always going to go through paradigm shifts. There are going to be experiences that happen throughout the course of your life that are going to ultimately dictate what kind of person you end up becoming, right? It's like Ben Parker told Peter Parker in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie, where he was like, these are the years that you're going to develop into the man that you're going to be for the rest of your life. That's only partially true because, yeah, you might start having the building blocks of being who you're going to become, but those things do change periodically, especially depending on what happens in your life.
And I dropped out of college as well. So I've just never really had the opportunity to be around many women, I guess, in like personal situations. I recently went back to school like about a year ago, and my social skills have improved a lot. I've improved a lot of my anxiety, thanks to like trips that I made, and just pushing myself outside my comfort zone and stuff. So I went back to school, and I'm like, I'm gonna get my first girlfriend. And my experience that I was talking to girls, and I find it really hard to get close to anyone. Like my social skills are bad. Women will think I'm kind of weird. So then I just
You see, he spoke previously about his social skills improving and his anxiety not being as bad as it used to be, but there's clearly still an issue there. But again, these things you only really solve through what's called exposure therapy. You know, you have to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation where you do it gradually. You know, like if you're at a house party, for example, you might want to just wave to one person. If you have a difficult time really having conversations with people, start small. You know, give a little wave, say hi to somebody. You know, if the only thing you did was just say hi to somebody, consider that a victory. Because if you're an introverted person and you don't seem to be the type of person that really interacts a lot with people, or rather are comfortable interacting, then yeah, it's definitely going to be a little weird in the beginning. But small victories like just saying hi to somebody go a long way. So I'm glad that he's acknowledged that he was a little socially awkward, and also on top of that, his anxiety was really high. When you couple those two together, you have like a recipe for destruction, like 100%. Fortunately, you know, this is something that he's working on, because again, you never really stop working on these things, even as you get older. These are always things that you're gonna struggle with.
just back off because that's the last thing I ever want to do. And it just doesn't really work out. Or a girl has a boyfriend or something else. It just doesn't work out. And it's like that plus everything that happened in the past, and I kind of just give up on the idea. I get so fucking depressed. Like my heart breaks. And I realize is something wrong with me? What is it? Why have I never had a girlfriend? Like, what is wrong with me in particular? Why did I have to struggle with all this while there's other guys that like, it just happens for them. It seems like it's so natural. It's the easiest thing in the world. You just get in a relationship with someone else. But I've never.
I don't agree with that, honestly. When it comes to, like, obviously for some people it's going to be easier than others, but there are things that everyone has to do on their own in order to become socially acceptable enough to be with somebody, whether you're a man seeking a woman seeking a man, or guy, girl, whatever it is. Here at Big Brother Neo's podcast, we're very inclusive. I don't really care what you're into, but you also don't know the experience of that other person. You might see what you guys colloquially like to refer to as a Chad having this like really beautiful woman or just a girlfriend in general, but you also don't know what kind of personal work that individual had to do in order to attain that person. It might have not been an easy road for them. Maybe they went to the gym. Maybe they worked out like hell. Maybe they practiced with, friends and family, just how to socialize properly because, looking good is one thing, but if you're really bad at socializing, that's going to be like a scarlet letter on you. You're going to be considered that weirdo. And you definitely want to know how to talk to people, or at the very least not make them feel uncomfortable when you're around them, because that's something that I've noticed that a lot of people do inadvertently without realizing it. Let's say, for instance, you're at a social event. Let's say you went to a bar, for example, and obviously everybody there is inebriated because they're under the influence of alcohol or possibly other sorts of drugs. But one thing you can do is that when you do have the courage inevitably to go up to somebody and talk to them, if they just don't seem interested, if their body language is kind of shifting the opposite direction, or if they're dismissive of what you're saying, maybe answer you with like a one word response versus an enthusiastic actual sentence, then you walk away. You have to at that point realize that this social interaction is not working, and I have to take myself out of here, because if not, it's gonna end up being bad. And I'm not saying that he necessarily has done these things, but he's clearly showing, and he's trying to make it seem like for some people it just automatically happens just like that at the snap of a finger. Listen, some people might be able to get laid easily and get with someone for a night or two easily, but it doesn't mean that they keep them. If you want to talk about building actual relationship strength, that's a completely different conversation that I think a lot of these individuals in like the men's health space aren't really ready to tackle properly, because again, getting laid and getting into a relationship are two completely different things.
Never been intimate with anyone. It's a really strange thing. Like, I always ask myself, what did I do wrong? Is something wrong with me? I don't know what it is. In one of my classes this semester, there's a girl that I like, right? I've gone to talk to her a few times, and like, she showed a lot of signs that she might like me back. She's gone back to talk to me and stuff. But then nothing came out of it, because then I got too scared to like make a deeper move, and now I feel like it would just be weird, so I'm not going to. Now I get this feeling that like love isn't real. I just want to give up on it. It's just so much pain all the time. I feel like I'm never gonna have that. I think one of the main things that I would love...
It's really sad it's very disheartening, honestly, to hear him say that love isn't real, because, I mean, to an extent, it kind of isn't. I'm going to be real with all of you. I think love is a very situational thing. You could have very strong connection towards somebody. You might even feel the emotion of what you consider love, but your love, just like most things in life, are conditional. You know what I mean? There can be moments where you have the strongest feeling towards somebody, but if they break that condition of said love, then it becomes nothing. It disappears. So if it's so easy to get rid of, was it ever real in the first place? Those are things you got to like ask yourself sometimes. But I wouldn't be so nihilistic as to think that it's not real at all, because you do have people that just vibe really well with each other. There are some people that have this harmony, this ability to just like mold and fuse together so well that you would think that they've known each other their whole lives. But in reality, they're just people that found each other, whether early or late in life. It's definitely possible. I don't necessarily think there's anything wrong with him. One thing that I did notice is he has a pattern of finding women that do potentially have interest in him, but he's too afraid to make a move. And that on its own will make a woman lose interest extremely quickly. Okay. It's not to say that you have to decipher them and, figure out all this like crazy talk, or look at all these like insane videos to try to figure out exactly how to talk to a woman. Talking to a human being is a very natural process. It shouldn't be difficult. If you have to struggle and walk on eggshells to have a conversation with someone, then you're probably not compatible with each other, to be honest with you, because it's very easy to talk to someone that you're used to being around. I'll give you an example. You have like a childhood best friend, somebody that you grew up with, that, you guys like maybe read comic books together, or played video games together, and you just found it very easy to bounce off of each other back and forth. Now, relationships like that also exist between men and women. And there are going to be some people that you're so comfortable talking to that you're going to be like, wow, like this was it this whole time. It's not that I didn't know how to interact. It's just that I didn't find the people that were compatible with me. You know, there will be people that say, oh, that's nonsense, that compatibility is not real. It is real, okay? Like I said, if you're just looking for a one night stand, then yeah, maybe you don't have to be too compatible in other aspects of life. You know, like your value systems. You know, the way that you just think about things in general might not have to align if you're just doing a one night thing. But if you're going to be with someone long term, there has to be a certain level of compatibility. Although, granted, over time, some of that stuff can grow on its own. But him being too afraid to take it upon himself to just be like, hey, you know what? I like you. Like, what's up? Can we go out? You know, go in for a kiss. If she puts her hand in the way, it's just like, hey, like back off. Like I don't know if I'm necessarily ready for that. Then respect it and keep it moving. You know, I mean, I don't mean keep it moving by leaving her altogether, but just respect the boundary and realize that if she does like you, she will allow you to continue. You might have just caught her off guard, you know, but always at the very least make a move. The worst thing that can happen is you get rejected, and if you do, I would much rather get rejected than never have tried to begin with. That's one of the worst things you can do, because then you're always going to think in the back of your mind, damn, if I would have just tried, I never know what might have happened. You might have had a great outcome, but I don't know.
My life, though, and that I really want, is just to feel an intimate relationship with someone. Like, that'd be a really big positive. And I don't want to be like a weirdo about it, like, I want a fucking girl. Like, no, but I really want to know what it's like to be intimate and close with someone and feel a sense of belonging. And just have a relationship, because having a relationship with someone, right, a romantic relationship, is one of the main pillars of life. Like, that's what every human kind of wants in some way, right? Unless you're asexual. Like, it's a very important thing. Our job is like to produce, right? And like be in these relationships, deep, meaningful relationships. It's like a big part of it, like marriage, all that shit, you know? I'm not saying this what you're gonna do necessarily, but it's a big part of humans in general, of us. And to have never been in a relationship, you've wondered, like, what the fuck is wrong with me?
You see, so here's the thing. He is right. Being intimate and being in a relationship is a part of human nature. Let's face it. We always do that. We get together with others. That's the only reason we're here in this world right now, because somebody felt the need to to reproduce and be able to tolerate someone to the point where you were able to be together and form a family. So he is right about that, but it's not the only thing that counts. You know, there's other aspects of being in a relationship. Like, a relationship inherently in itself is not just intimacy. Although I will say that intimacy is what differentiates between a relationship and just a simple friendship. Because let's face it, if you're not having sex with your partner, then you're not in a relationship. You're just in a friendship. So definitely having an intimate time, just feeling the warmth of another human being, somebody that you can hug and just be like this is this is me, this is my person, this is somebody that I love and care about. It can be very rewarding for us as people, and we do crave that because, again, as humans, we are a social species. You know what I mean? It's not like we can just go our whole lives and never experience this and not feel a certain way because of it. Like he said, unless you're asexual, but even asexuality requires some sort of connection with another individual. You know, it doesn't have to be physical, but just knowing that there's another person there that cares about you and, you know, that feels the same way about you that you feel about them, that's powerful. There's an energy to that. And that's something that I can resonate with. Yeah, like that, I can understand his perspective on that.
You know? I just wonder what I did wrong. I'm very anxious. I'm starting to get better about it now. Sometimes I get that doubt and insecurity that something's wrong with me, and then I get really fucking nervous and I don't talk anymore. And I've gotten to a point where I don't believe in love anymore. Maybe it's possible for some people, but maybe it's not possible for me. It's not possible for people that are kind of weird or just grew up different. Because I can't find myself relating to others in a deep way. And love is all about intimacy. And it's so hard for me to be close to anyone. And like,
you see, love is not just about intimacy. That's a misconception that I think a lot of people have, because if you're in a relationship with somebody and you're in love with them, intimacy is one part of your relationship. It's not the whole thing. Okay, because if that were the case, then you'd be in love with every whore you sleep with. Like if you had a one night stand with somebody, doesn't mean that you love them because you had sex with them. No, you just had sex with them. There are other aspects that another human being can bring to you. You know, the companionship, just having somebody to bounce ideas off of back and forth, having that person that belongs to you and you belonging to them, and you knowing that no matter what happens, you're there for them. That's what a real sense of love should, at the very least, be. But intimacy in its own does not make a relationship.
I don't know. I feel so fucking weird about it. I just don't believe in it. The whole concept of love to me, I'm talking about like romantic love. It's just so like dark. Something about it seems so dark and weird to me. I don't know how to explain it, but like, I just don't believe in it. You grow up watching these TV shows, anime. I watch anime as well. These movies that have these really wholesome love stories, right? And you want to believe in that, like those fairy tales, but that shit isn't true, like at all. It's not true. Real life is weird. It's strange. Love is like, it's icky. I don't know how to explain it. I don't.
That's actually pretty perceptive of him, honestly, because he is right. It's not that easy the way it's portrayed. Anime, I love anime too, by the way. Even though I don't watch it as much as I used to, but anime does have a very romanticized way of expressing connections between people, you know. But that's not how the real world works. Love is a messy and icky thing. You know, you're gonna have arguments with each other. You're gonna realize that the longer you're together, you are less compatible gradually. It doesn't mean that you're completely incompatible with each other, but you will notice that you're different human beings over time. So yes, it is messy. You will get into arguments with the person that you quote unquote love. But if you really do love them, if there's a powerful connection between the two of you and you're mature enough to talk your issues out, then you can do it. Now, granted, there are obvious deal breakers, you know, like cheating or like physical abuse or things of that nature. Yeah, these are things that, you know, most people won't get past. But love is messy. It's not an easy thing. But I think he's also coming from a place of scarcity because he's never experienced it, because he's never gotten a kiss. He's never had an actual like physical connection with somebody. So I feel like his perspective on what he thinks love is would shift a little bit once he does experience that. And I say once he does because I believe he can. He's not incapable. I don't think he's a bad looking guy, to be honest with you. I would say if I were to give any like constructive criticism, and again, he's young, he's 23 years old. When you're that young, you don't really have yourself figured out the way you think you're going to have yourself figured out. So, you know, if we wanted to start with superficial, we could look at his hair, for example. Yeah, he's got nice hair, but it looks a little messy. You know, maybe comb it or get a, you know, like a stylish haircut, something that's like more appealing to your look. You know, and then, you know, the obvious thing would be his teeth. You know, I actually can't talk shit because I have aligners. Like you could kind of see them. I'm fixing my teeth because this is something that I've always had an insecurity about. This is not about looks maxing and just being the best version of myself. No, this is very much something that has bothered me from when I was a child, and I wanted to rectify it. And now that I have the ability to do it, I'm doing it. So, you know, maybe consider getting your teeth fixed at some point. You know, okay, the facial hair is not that big of a deal. You can tell just, you know, by looking at his face that he doesn't grow like very heavy facial hair, which is fine. Keep a clean, you know, shave. Like you don't have to, you know, grab a full beard to get the attention of somebody. And, you know, just overall, you know, maybe the way you dress, it's really difficult to tell how he dresses here because he has a t-shirt on just like I do. But there are like a couple of physical things you can do. And I hate when people say that, oh, it shouldn't matter the way you look. No, looks matter. Okay. For anybody to tell you that looks don't matter, they're full of crap, because let's be realistic on one thing here. Okay. When you look at somebody in the beginning, the first instinctual thing that comes across to you is the way that person looks. You know why? Because you can't see somebody's personality. You can't see how they're going to treat you going forward. You're going based off of their looks. And then you have a talk with them. And after that, you figure out what kind of person you're dealing with, right? So it is important to take care of yourself physically, but and you know, the obvious thing, right? Going to the gym. I think all men should be at the gym, and women, you know, like just do some push-ups, do some sit-ups, at the very least, keep yourself physically active to the point where you're healthy, because What if you do find yourself in a situation where you're being intimate with somebody and, you know, you have no stamina, you know, you can't last because you've never exerted any kind of real effort in your entire life. And now as a result, you know, you underperformed, and that alone can be a death nail in a relationship. You know what I mean? So, also just for longevity, you want to keep yourself healthy, but not just for you, but for your friends, your family, your partner. You want to be a healthy individual. So, caring about the way you look says a lot about you. Caring about the way you feel also says a lot. So, if you go out into the world acting like you don't care, don't be surprised when the world doesn't reply back to you. And again, I'm not saying that he doesn't care, because, you know, I personally don't think he's a bad looking kid at all. You know, like I said, those are just a couple of like constructive feedback that I would give him. Like, hey, you can do this to improve this, that, and the third, and, you know, things of that nature. But looks do matter. Let's not pretend that they don't.
I don't like how it is, how it works. As humans, we are weird, bro. I really don't like it. I don't know how to say it, but I just feel like giving up on love at this point. I give up on the thought of ever being really close and intimate with someone. Like, that's what I'm trying to say. I just don't believe in it anymore. I get like really depressed about it. Also, dating apps suck. I tried them. You can message a girl, they'll respond. If you're too boring, they'll quickly go away. Like, I just wish that life could be more like an anime or a TV show where it's just this wholesome, fun relationship with someone, and you guys just get together and love each other despite your flaws. And it's like, I just don't feel that. I don't know. Anyways, that's all I want to say. My whole concept of love is fucked up. I don't know what to think anymore. I just feel hopeless. Like, I'm never gonna be close to anyone. Like, something's wrong with me. Even if that's not true, I feel that mentally. Like, mentally, I'm fucked up. I'm messed up. And that sucks. I hope someday I can feel normal, but it's really tough in that regards, I guess. So I kind of want to give up on love, but I know I shouldn't. I really want to. I kind of wish I'd never been interested in girls, that I wasn't interested in any of this. I wish I was asexual, and then I wouldn't have to worry about any of this. That'd be an amazing thing, but I like girls, and I want to be close with someone. That would be cool. But I don't know if that's gonna happen. Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel for him. I really do. It's really easy to feel nihilistic when you're at a point where you're just not getting any like affection from somebody. You know, it kind of like eats away at your soul after a while. So I do genuinely feel his plight. You know, me, I'm a man as well, and I remember when I was his age, I didn't get any love, honestly. Now, granted, I did lose my virginity before I was 21, but you know, it was it wasn't in the best way necessarily, like in terms of how I envisioned it to be. But then after that, I went years without like getting laid. You know what I mean? Girls just weren't interested in me, and it's not because I was just some doomer, like loser that was incapable of getting any affection from anybody. It's just that I wasn't ready in my own personal life. I had a lot of things going on. You know, I wasn't working. I didn't have the best financial situation. You know what I mean? I used to like hop around from like friend's house to friend's house because I didn't have my own place to stay at the time. I wasn't as educated as I should be. There were a lot of things that I had going on where thinking about women was probably the last thing I should have been thinking about. You know, and like I said, I don't know what his financial status like. I don't know what kind of positioning he's in. I'd like to actually have a conversation with him because he seems like a chill dude. You know what I mean? I don't really see anything wrong with him outside of the fact that he's never experienced this. So when you haven't experienced something, it's very easy to have like a preconceived notion of what you think it is or what it will be like. But again, you just don't know because you just haven't done it. So if he wants to give up because he wants to like focus on other ventures in his life, then hey, you know what? Mazel tov, do your thing. But if you're giving up just because you're 23 and you haven't found anybody, like you might not do it until much later. Honestly, I didn't peak in terms of, or really, I don't want to say peak. I didn't hit my stride. I did not start to hit my stride until I hit my 30s. That's where the real glow up happened. That's where like, you know, I started hitting the gym more. I started getting in better shape. You know, I got like tatted up. I started getting like haircuts. I grew my beard out. You know, I was always pretty like socially calibrated. Like I've never really been bad at talking to people. But my looks did certainly hold me back from wanting to pursue something greater because I always just felt like I wasn't worth it, you know? But I'm not saying that you got to wait until your 30s and all of a sudden, you know, like everything is going to be great. You're going to open the door and doves are going to fly behind you. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but you have to give yourself time and opportunity. You know, one thing that I would do outside of the obvious, you know, working out, improving the way you look, improving your social skills. I would also just focus on your crafts, on your hobbies. You know, like you like anime, cool. Maybe you know, you can get with a group of people that find something in common with you with anime. You know, go to the conventions. You might meet like-minded people there. You might even meet a girl that likes the same kind of animes that you like. Um, you know, just if you're not working, you know, get yourself a job. Make sure your money's right. You know, you're a young guy, so you know you have a ton of potential, man. Like the amount of potential that you have is damn near limitless at your age. You know, because as you get older, our bodies slow down. We don't have that same pep in our step that we did when we were younger. So there's definitely opportunity there for you. I don't want you to think that it's completely hopeless because you haven't experienced it up until this point. So what? You know how many times I've been rejected and turned down and made to feel inadequate, made to feel like a subhuman piece of filth. It's happened. You know what I mean? And heck, I mean, it doesn't happen anymore. I'm happily with somebody right now that I care about. I love her. She's a good woman. You know, so I'm okay with that. But there were definitely times where I felt inferior. I felt like I didn't deserve it, nor should I even approach it. But with a little bit of hard work and determination and just, you know, focusing on your own life, these things can happen as a consequence of you just living your life, you know? So I would certainly say not to give up. I would say give yourself the opportunity to achieve a higher level. But again, you're not going to achieve that level if you give up simply because you haven't had success yet. You know, the difference between a winner and a loser is that the winner kept losing, but they just didn't give up. And then eventually they won because that's what it is. I'll tell you a little story before I stop this episode here. So WD-40, right? It stands for water displacement 40th attempt. Now, the reason it's called water displacement 40th attempt is because when that formula was being created for WD-40, they failed 39 times initially before they got it correct on the 40th attempt. So subsequently, they ended up naming it water displacement 40th attempt after all their failures prior to that. That's amazing, right? When you really like stop and think about it, these people failed so much and they named an extremely successful formula and product after all their failures. Okay, hopefully that should be a good way to kind of close this out and give you a little hope that it's not helpless. It's really not. You know, just like Joe DeSena said in Spartan Up, if the most difficult thing you've done is go to and from the grocery store, then that is a level of difficulty you're prepared to deal with. So you're gonna have to put yourself through hard situations in order to get the outcomes that you want in life. But with that said, you guys have all been awesome. I am Neo Starling. If you felt that you gained any value from this reaction, please feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe, do the damn thing, help a brother out. I'm trying to grow this channel. I am trying to grow the movement, and I just want to have a conversation with all of you. So yeah, let's chat. Anyway, you've all been awesome, and don't ever, ever let anyone tell you different. Signing off.